Hello, I'm Elena Forbes, Director of Advancement for the Conway School of Nursing and the National Catholic School of Social Service. Welcome to this episode of Cardinal Perspectives, a series featuring in-depth conversations with alumni, students, faculty, staff, and the extended family and community of the Catholic University of America. Today, we're featuring a conversation with Marie Nolan, Dean and Ordinary Professor at the Conway School of Nursing at Catholic University, and William Roth, Associate Vice President for University Advancement. Marie Nolan, who received her PhD from Catholic University in 1989, was appointed Dean of the Conway School of Nursing in 2022. Her research for over 20 years has focused on the healthcare decision-making of patients with terminal illness and their family caregivers, and has included interventions, measurement, and theory development. Before becoming Dean of the Conway School of Nursing, Marie served as Executive Vice Dean at the Johns Hopkins School of Nursing and core faculty member at the Berman Institute of Bioethics at Johns Hopkins University. She was also a member of the Ethics Committee and Consultation Service at Johns Hopkins Hospital and served on the Institutional Review Board for Johns Hopkins Medicine. Additionally, Marie directed the PhD program partnership between Johns Hopkins and Peking Union Medical College in Beijing, the first university in China to award PhD degrees in nursing. Dean Nolan's work is grounded in the dignity of the human person as the foundation of a moral vision for nursing and healthcare. We're excited for you to hear the conversation. Let's get started.
Thank you for joining us for this edition of Cardinal Perspectives. I am William Roth. I'm the Associate Vice President for University Advancement here at Catholic University, and I'm pleased to be joined by Dean Marie Nolan, who is the Dean of the Conway School of Nursing, one of the pillar schools here at the Catholic University of America. And Dean Nolan, thank you for joining us.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
Wonderful. Dean Nolan, I thought it would be wonderful, since you are a graduate and an alumna of the university and the school, for you to share a little bit about your own journey to Catholic University and to the Conway School of Nursing.
Yes, thank you. I would love to. So I moved here from Chicago. I had been a clinical nurse specialist in a hospital there, a teaching hospital, and I moved here to enter into the PhD program of the Conway School of Nursing at that time. And like many of my students, I worked part-time at the Washington Hospital Center, being a weekend supervisor while I was going to school. And I had a wonderful experience in the doctoral program here. It absolutely was formational for me, and I loved every minute of it. So after I graduated from the Conway School of Nursing, the PhD program, I went to Johns Hopkins and became a nurse researcher for nursing administration at the hospital. And after 10 years of doing that, I became a faculty member of Johns Hopkins School of Nursing, eventually the vice dean of the school, and then I was approached by the search committee to become the dean of the Conway School of Nursing, to apply for that position. And so I had the pleasure of coming down, and honestly, the moment I hit the campus, I remembered what a wonderful place Catholic University was, and I was convinced that I really was called to come back, and what an honor to be called to serve as dean of the Conway School of Nursing at the Catholic University of America. So that was 3 years ago. So I've been here for the past 3 years.
And how have those 3 years been for you? Have they lived up to your expectations? Were there things that have stood out in those 3 years that have really struck chords with you?
Yes, I actually would say it's far exceeded my expectations. I remembered, after I had been here for a while, the many things that attracted me to Catholic University in the beginning, and the many things that made me very happy while I was here. So, for example, even though I came from a very strong Catholic family, my faith was strengthened during my 3.5 years here. And what I did not anticipate was that when I came back as dean, I similarly felt over the past 3 years that my faith is even strengthened more. And it is inevitable when you're surrounded by people of faith, students, faculty, staff. It's really our culture here at Catholic University that you can't help but, I tell everyone, you feel God's presence at Catholic University, and it's been a joy for me to be here.
The time that you've had in the last 3 years to be dean, I'm sure, has offered you a lot of insights into how a school should be run and what direction a school can take and what impact it can have on the lives of its students and the wider community. I was just curious if you could share with us a little bit about what your evolving vision of what the Conway School of Nursing should be.
Yes, I would say I appreciate the vision that my predecessors have had from the very beginning of the Conway School of Nursing and the very beginning of Catholic University of America. So, in terms of nursing, clinical excellence is what graduates of Conway School of Nursing have always been known for. People love to hire our students, our graduates, because they are experts at what they do. They're just superb nurses. But what makes them truly unique and different is their character. So these students have come from Catholic University, a university that spends a lot of time considering their foundation of faith and their character of virtue. And I think that makes all the difference, both for the employer who wants to have nurses who are the most compassionate, the most resilient, the most caring. And it also makes a difference for the nurse himself or herself, because it is one thing to say that you are a nurse because you are here to help people, which is very good and very admirable. It is a totally different thing to say, I am doing God's work, and every patient and family entrusted to my care is a child of God, deserving of not just respect, but deserving of love and compassion. And that is what puts Conway School of Nursing graduates above many others around the country.
So that sense of respect for human dignity, that appreciation of care, that sense of being a healer, how does that get reinforced into our students? How does, not everyone comes ready to understand those concepts. How do you find that gets brought forward and developed in Conway School of Nursing students?
That is very true. It is really something that we pay attention to and that we're dedicated to, not just in the School of Nursing, but actually the entire university. I mean, students have a wonderful experience. They grow spiritually from the emphasis of our faith throughout the university. Students, when they come here as a freshman, go on a freshman retreat, and they're asked to reflect upon who do you want to become in the next 4 years. And, we were talking about when students show up as freshmen, they're just 18 years old. And, many of our students come from wonderful, wonderful faith-filled families. And so they're already have been formed in virtue, in a sense, when they come to us. But 18 is young. And when they're here for 4 years, the difference in confidence, in the growth of their faith, in their preparation to be a professional, all of that is nothing short of remarkable. In 4 years, they are transformed. In the School of Nursing, we spend a lot of time thinking about virtue. As I mentioned, clinical excellence is a given. We are always developing clinically excellent nurses. But we spend a lot of time also in the clinical setting asking students to reflect upon what they may have done over the shift that they were working with their clinical instructor. And a great example of this is Dean Andrew Abella of the Bush School of Business recently received a $1 million grant that is focusing on the infusion of virtues in undergraduate education. And in the case of Catholic University, it's the enhancement of virtue and character development that we already are engaged in. But an example in the School of Nursing is students go in, they have their 12-hour clinical shift with their clinical instructor, and many times in any School of Nursing, at the end of that shift, there's a clinical debriefing session, and the instructor may ask, what skills did you learn today? And the nursing students may say, well, I learned to insert an IV today. I helped to transfuse blood today. I administered a medication today that was new to me. So those are common across many schools of nursing. So what makes Conway School of Nursing different as part of this virtue initiative that we're working on, the instructor will also ask the students before they start their shift, I want you to observe for these 3 virtues. And, the virtues change over the semester. But for example, it might say, I want you to observe for compassion. I want you to observe for patience. I want you to observe um, for resilience today. And so at the end of the shift, in addition to talking about the fact that they learned to transfuse blood, they're also asked, and what did you observe in terms of virtues? And the students, the clinical instructors, one has told me that it has transformed the post-conference because students will get so excited and they'll say, I witnessed a nurse that was being courageous and resilient in advocating for her patient today. And then they'll talk about how that particular nurse made sure that her patient received the medication or the treatment that the patient needed. And so the students are really now paying attention to virtues that they witness in others. And then over the semester, what that does is helps them to adopt the virtues themselves. Now they've seen what patients look like, they've seen what compassion looks like, and now they're modeling it in their own practice. So that's a remarkable aspect of nursing education that I would say does not take place at many other schools of nursing, and maybe even not other Catholic schools of nursing, but we're very intentional about developing the virtues in our students.
And that development, how does that translate into making our nurses better nurses and have the kinds of careers that they might aspire to? How do you see that translating across?
I think it is demonstrated in the specialties that they select after they graduate. So I was just looking over our students last year and where they're employed now. And it is amazing the number of students that went into critical care. So as I looked down the list, it was surgical critical care, medical critical care, cardiovascular critical care, the emergency room setting, neonatal ICU. I mean, our students are, in this day and age where people worry about young people shrinking from challenges and being overly introverted, our students are literally running towards the fire. When they are looking for critical care positions and emergency room positions, we also have a student who selected working in the U.S. prison service because, in his words, he said, I can think of few persons who are as isolated and as rejected as people in a U.S. prison. And after all, they are God's children too. That is a Conway School of Nursing graduate, people that are really seeing their nursing career as doing God's work.
So having these human qualities that are continually reinforced throughout their time here, you see them as in parallel with this clinical excellence that you highlight. And I was wondering if you could share with folks, when you define excellence on a clinical side, how does that manifest itself? How can people understand that?
Well, clinical excellence, I would say, is measured throughout the students' nursing education with us. So clinical excellence could be the student demonstrates a clear understanding of how to administer blood, for example. I talked about that, or how to administer a certain medication, or titrate a very difficult medication to titrate. It also is demonstrated the very outcome of our students. We have a very high NCLEX, which is an RN license exam. We have a very high NCLEX first-time pass rate. So 95% of our students pass the NCLEX the first time they try, and the others pass it on a try after that, the second try. But that's actually much higher than the national norm. So clinical excellence is something that we measure throughout their career.
So if we take those two qualities of thoughtful classroom work and successful ability at the skills of nursing combined with the grace and humanity that comes with being part of the healing ministry of Jesus Christ, what is the kind of student who's right for this school? If you're trying to recruit the right kind of Conway School of Nursing student, what should people who are listening to this think about?
Well, that's like saying, what is the right kind of nurse? And the right student or the right kind of nurse is a variety of personalities, a variety of family backgrounds, a variety of areas of interest. I mean, I think one of the reasons we have such a rich educational environment is that our students are from everywhere. They're from Connecticut and New York, and they're from Michigan, and they're from a variety of types of families. They're only children. They're families coming from a family with 13 children. I mean, it's amazing the variety of students that we have, and yet they really become a family when they come here to Conway School of Nursing. Our students are amazing. They're not competitive with one another. They are supporting one another. It's really impressive. So I would say the right student for Conway School of Nursing, the only right student would be the one that's very interested in a faith-based education that we provide, that's interested in a community that's close and believes in the dialogue between faith and reason. That is foundational to Catholic University. So I'd say if there's anything, it would be a student who's interested in that type of whole student formation. But otherwise, we look for students who are from a great variety of backgrounds and families and educational experiences.
When we were talking before, one of the themes that you highlighted about our students is that they also have a sense of joy and fun.
Yes.
And I was curious, nursing's a hard profession. It's one that can be very draining. Can you talk about how you see this sense of and impart this sense of joy and fun into the work?
Yes. Well, I'll tell you a funny example of it is our students are really known on graduation ceremony, on graduation day, when they announce, the Conway School of Nursing students, please stand. And almost invariably, they're, just cheering the loudest of any other school. And, for the last 2 years, they've been setting off these, confetti explosions, and it really makes for a lot of fun and joy when they're graduating. But really, it's at every stage. So how do they have fun? In a variety of ways. 60% of our students are involved in some aspect of athletics, which is kind of amazing because nursing school is very hard. It's very consuming, but our students find time to play soccer, or they're on the rowing team, or just really a wide variety of sports. And they are varsity athletes, or they are intramural athletes, or club sports. I mean, there really is a great variety of the types of athletics that they're engaged in. But we really are interested in forming the whole person. And I think that those types of activities, extracurricular activities, help our students to be more resilient.
Wonderful. And do you find that those who are engaged in those opportunities are learning qualities that they will apply to their work as nurses in terms of leadership and being a part of a team? Can
Yes.
you talk a little bit about that?
That's a wonderful example. Leadership and part of a team is so integral to nurses. When you are caring for patients, the nurses work very closely with social workers, with physical therapists, occupational therapists, physicians, other nurses. So being part of a team is a great skill to have. And understanding how today you may have to be the team leader and tomorrow you're a team member is very important. So I think the athletics is very helpful in that regard. Also, it's helpful in developing resilience. 12-hour shifts are very long, and it can be exhausting on some days. And the fact that these students have, the rowing team gets up at like 4 a.m. and, jumps in a car and goes down to the water and rows from 6 to 7 before they get to school and start their day. So I think those demands of some of our extracurricular activities are good preparation for nurses who will be engaged in physically, emotionally, intellectually demanding practice.
Wonderful. You've talked at length about some of our students and about the qualities of our students and what you're looking for. Before we sort of end this section on students, I was curious if you would talk a little bit about some of the ceremonies that students go through that you find actually help transform the experience and are perhaps unique to the Conway School of Nursing.
Yes. Well, there are many ceremonies in the university as a whole, and one of my favorites is the Mass of the Holy Spirit that starts out each academic year, and that's where the students, faculty, and staff all join together and have this beautiful Mass asking for God's blessing on our work and studies. That is one of my favorites, and it's one of the first things I missed when I left Conway School of Nursing. I went to another university, and I thought, where's the Mass of the Holy Spirit? How can we start our academic year without it? So that's one thing I think is very important. But in terms of Conway School of Nursing itself, there are two unique ceremonies that I think everyone loves. One is the blessing of the hands. That is a ceremony where the students are just about to embark upon their clinical experiences for the first time. So we say they will be laying hands on patients for the first time. And that's it emphasizes their role as healer. They're not just a clinician, they are a clinician and healer. And so they have their hands blessed by one of our chaplains. Each hand is blessed as asking God's blessing on their future practice as a nurse. And the second ceremony is at the end of their nursing education, and that is the pinning ceremony. And the pinning ceremony is recognizing all of the nursing skills that they have developed over the past 2 or 3 years, focused on nursing care in particular and their nursing education. And it's asking God's blessing on their practice as they prepare to launch out as an independent nurse. And I think, the impact of those two ceremonies cannot be underestimated. So I've told many people that I ran into a graduate from 10 years ago. And my favorite thing to ask alumni is, what is your favorite memory from either Conway School of Nursing or the Catholic University of America? And this student said, without a doubt, it was the blessing of the hand ceremony. And then she said, so this is 10 years after she graduated, she said, each day I walk into the hospital, I say a quick prayer, Lord, let my hands be your healing hands for every patient I touch today. And I thought that is the impact of the Conway School of Nursing, the Healing Hands ceremony, and the type of people that students become here.
In addition to the fantastic students that we're bringing together and who shape the school daily, you're also fortunate to have a dynamic faculty that
Yes.
offer this premier education. And I was curious if you wanted to share a little bit about some of the accomplishments over the last few years that our faculty have created through their own hard work.
Yes, we have amazing faculty at the Conway School of Nursing in every specialty. We have faculty that have been teaching undergraduate students for many years, as well as practicing in their own practice. We have faculty that are teaching nurse practitioners, as well as having a nurse practitioner practice of their own. They do amazing things, and one great example is Dr. Sandra O'Brien. She's a family nurse practitioner. She has her own practice in addition to teaching our undergraduates and our graduate students. And she also is the lead faculty member on the development of a multi-patient simulation that we've been working on for the past year. And she and Dr. David Want and Miss Kim Walsh, who's also a nurse on our staff, they developed this multi-patient simulation. It's virtual, because we were hearing from our clinical partners, from the chief nursing officers, that new graduate nurses, and not new graduate nurses from Conway School of Nursing, but new graduate nurses nationally, when they arrive, they're great at caring for 1 or 2 patients at a time, but when you give them 3, 4, 5, and up to 10, that can be very challenging. So our faculty, under Dr. O'Brien's leadership, developed a multi-patient simulation that forces students to feel like they're using their mouse, but they're walking down the hospital hall and they're walking into a patient's room. They take report on several patients, and they have to make a decision, which patient will I see first based on the report I received? Well, of course, we want the student to see the most critically ill patient first. And then once they get into the room, they are receiving distractors. So maybe their phone will ring and it will say, the patient down the hall would like your help walking to the restroom. So then they have to answer a question. Should I stop what I'm doing and go down the hall? Should I ask a colleague on the team to assist with this? Or, what would be my next best action? So that is like nothing that's on the market right now. There are several vendors that are making individual virtual patient scenarios like this, but there is nothing that we've seen so far that is asking students to manage multiple patients at the same time with intentional distractions. And because we're Catholic University, Conway School of Nursing, built into this scenario are things that we are challenging the students to exercise their virtues, their compassion. So an example of that is, and I'm probably giving away some things, but but for example, in one room there's a picture that says "Get well soon," and in another room there's a flowers and balloons that say we wish you well, and in the third patient rooms there's nothing. So what we want our students to pick up is we want the student to ask the patient. It looks like, I see your get well card. It looks like there are people that care about you. Who sent you that? Do you mind sharing who sent you this card? And we want the student to pick up that there's one patient who has no card and has nothing on the wall, to realize that this may be an unbefriended patient who needs more time and more attention and more planning to ensure that after the patient leaves the hospital, the patient will have the adequate support that he or she needs. So that's something you won't find in other, virtual scenarios, because we purposely build those types of decisions in to prepare virtuous nurses, the kind of nurses that we prepare at Conway School of Nursing.
So, Dean Nolan, with the characterization you've given of students, which are technically sharp and full of humanity and understanding, tell me, what are the hallmarks of the faculty here and of the faculty that you're seeking to recruit?
Yes, thank you. The faculty here are absolutely spectacular. So I would say the hallmarks of a Conway School of Nursing faculty would be clinical excellence as a given, and dedicated to the faith-based mission that we have here. Not every faculty member is Catholic, but every faculty member is dedicated to the faith-based mission that we have here. So most faculty start their classes with a prayer. Faculty are extremely dedicated to not only teaching, but to their students. So I read the evaluations for every course every semester, and one student commented, Dr. Dombrowski is such an excellent teacher, and she cares about me as a person. And then she gave an example that student had injured her ankle, like a sprained ankle, in one of her athletic activities. And she said that Dr. Dombrowski called her over the weekend to make sure that she was doing okay and that she was healing properly and didn't need any additional medical attention. So clinical excellence, love teaching students, love caring for patients. And I would say innovative, our multi-patient simulation, the virtual patient simulation is an example of that type of innovation that you see at the Conway School of Nursing. And I would just say the kind of faculty that find the same kind of joy that our students find in nursing.
We've talked a little bit over this conversation about what I'd say would be the undergraduate experience for our students, but a hallmark of the Conway School of Nursing is its graduate programs,
Yes.
and have been such for well over 90 years.
Yes.
So I was wondering if you could maybe talk about some of the programs that you feel are the signature features of our graduate program that folks might not know nearly enough about.
Yes, we've actually had some great innovations in our graduate program over this past 2 years. One innovation is that we've moved our nurse practitioner program, which was already known for being an excellent program and preparing nurse practitioners. We've moved that to the Doctor of Nursing practice level. And that not only prepares clinically excellent nurses, as we always have, but it also prepares nurses to be leaders within a very complex healthcare system. So the DNP adds some information about health finance and about human resources management and healthcare funding. So now our students can be better advocates for their patients in their nurse practitioner roles. So we've also added a new nurse practitioner track. We now have an adult gerontology acute care nurse practitioner track. Those would be for nurse practitioners who practice in the hospital setting or other acute care settings, maybe an emergency room, dialysis center. Those nurses are prepared to care for patients with multiple complex chronic and acute illnesses. So that program is really growing and is a very exciting program. And we have been known, we're one of the first research-based nursing programs. Our PhD program is one of the very earliest PhD programs in nursing in the country. And that is a program that continues to produce excellent researchers. Research in nursing guides the profession. So the nurses in practice, the nurse practitioners, the RNs, they are all practicing according to the best evidence in the literature in practice. And the people who have their PhDs are the nurses who are conducting that research to guide practice. Our particular program focuses on clinical research. So we are focusing on what is the best approach to patient care, to family care, to care of the community. And we've long been known for that. I would also say, because we're Catholic University, our students are also known for studying some difficult ethical issues. So whether it's issues at the very beginning of life, and there are many ethical issues at the beginning of life, or issues at the end of life, and there are many ethical issues at the end of life, our students are known for studying those issues. And we have so many excellent resources here in the School of Philosophy, in the School of Theology, the Department of Psychology, social work, that our students can take an interdisciplinary approach to research that I think is places us at the lead of PhD programs in the country.
When you've developed out the graduate programs and rethought the direction you want to take with them, I'm sure you've had to do a lot of engagement with clinical partners.
Yes.
And I was curious, what have you found that you've learned from our clinical partnerships, and how have you responded from the feedback you've gotten from clinical partners?
So the clinical partners are very important to us, and we do have them over to the Conway School of Nursing regularly. In fact, last week I had a group of chief nursing officers from some of our surrounding hospitals where our students do their clinical experiences, and they talked to us about the challenges of retention for nurses in their first 5 years. So they mentioned that they can usually get them through the first year with careful attention and residency programs. But once they leave the first year, many nurses will turn over and seek a position elsewhere. Maybe the hospital becomes too stressful for them, and so they seek other types of positions. So we listen to that very carefully. That is one of the reasons we have developed some of our virtual patient experiences. What the chief nursing officers tell us is stressful, we build that into our program to a greater extent. So our curriculum is actually quite influenced by feedback from our clinical partners. I had mentioned that the chief nursing officers told us that managing multiple patients at the same time and prioritizing care was challenging. So that's one of the reasons that Dr. O'Brien has led our faculty in developing this multi-patient scenario. It's to help our students exercise that ability to make decisions across multiple patients at the same time and prioritize the most critically ill patient first. That is a direct result from input from our clinical partners. So we keep that dialogue open because we want our education to be contemporaneous, and I think those chief nursing officers and others have been a great asset to us.
So you would describe the School of Nursing as not being sort of an ivory tower in any way, or is that a characterization that I'm misunderstanding?
No, I think that's a great point. No, we're not an ivory tower in any way. I mentioned that many of our faculty have their own practice, so they're out there practicing as a nurse practitioner, as a clinical specialist, And also, two of our faculty members are former chief nursing officers themselves. So both Dr. Joyce Johnson, who was a chief nursing officer at the Washington Hospital Center, at Georgetown Hospital, and also Dr. Mary Dixon, who was chief nursing officer at the University of Virginia in Charlottesville, and also one of the Inova hospitals, as well as a hospital in Texas. So she's had multiple experiences being the lead nursing officer of very renowned hospitals, and she is the director of our master's leadership program. So many of our faculty members have been premier leaders in nursing in their own right before they came to Conway School of Nursing, or as they are teaching, they're continuing their clinical practice. One of our faculty said to me that one of the reasons she loves being a nurse practitioner is because as the patient ages, she gets to see them become healthier. And I thought, as they age, they become healthier? That's kind of different. I thought as people aged, they became more fragile or more ill. And she said, no, because I focus on their diet and their exercise. And over time, with the behavioral changes, I see my patients become stronger and healthier. So I think that's the impact of an excellent nurse practitioner. And, that's the kind of faculty that we employ.
You've highlighted that within the curriculum, within the faculty, there is this theme of innovation, this theme of understanding the world as it is today, and not just the theory of nursing. And one of the programs that you're about to launch reflects that in a quite an acute way. I was wondering if you could tell us a little bit more about the launch of the Accelerated Bachelor of Science in Nursing.
Yes, I love talking about that program. So we've been, as I mentioned, for just years and years have been known as leaders in baccalaureate education as well as doctoral education and master's education. But one of the things we realized that we can contribute to this really growing nursing shortage nationally is the opportunity for adults who have already achieved a baccalaureate degree in another area, who have also taken some prerequisite courses in anatomy and physiology, biochemistry, psychology, that those individuals who have a degree in another area and those prerequisites can come to Conway School of Nursing and complete a baccalaureate degree in nursing in 12 months. So in 1 year, someone that has admired nurses and really thinks that they would love being a nurse, in just 1 year, they can have the coursework, the clinical work, the laboratory work, to be ready to be an excellent nurse after they graduate from our accelerated baccalaureate program.
And do you find that there are any concerns that you have about launching an accelerated program alongside the traditional BSN program that you offer, or do you only see positives in this?
I absolutely only see positives. There are two different populations. The traditional students are coming right out of high school, and they are going to be engaging in a really rigorous and rich arts and sciences curriculum even before they begin their nursing courses. But the accelerated students, they're a mature adult who may have had a few years of a career before they come to us. They come to us with all sorts of different degrees: psychology, anthropology, the classics. I mean, it's just amazing, the people that have a different career and then they come into nursing. Every background is beneficial to nurses because it just means that you will have a more enriched relationship with your patients, with families, because of what you bring to that experience. So I think that both our ABSN, our accelerated baccalaureate students, will enjoy getting to know our baccalaureate students who are in the traditional program, and I think our traditional students will enjoy getting to know our accelerated students because of the background that they have had in the past. They're not going to be in the same classes, but they will have many opportunities to interact in extracurricular activities.
Fantastic. We've talked about innovation. We've talked about new things on the horizon. Well, last year, a very historic moment in the history of the school related to how the school is housed and what opportunities can develop from the facilities that our students inhabit. So I was wondering if you could talk a little bit about the new nursing building that was established last year, and then what things you've learned over this first year of operation.
Yes, so we are blessed with this absolutely magnificent 102,000 square foot building that is the most advanced nursing building in the country, I'm convinced. And we have Mr. William Conway and his late beloved wife, Joanne, to thank for a great deal of this building. It is absolutely spectacular. It is a building that has 8 virtual hospital rooms, 6 primary care examination rooms, 2 emergency rooms. I mean, people that come and tour our building just cannot believe the resources we have to teach nursing, both undergraduate pre-licensure nurses and nurse practitioners. It's just an amazing, amazing resource for us. And I think what people really admire about this building is it is filled with light, which is really which is very much in line with our theme here at Catholic University, Lead with Light. And the inside of our building is filled with light. Students love studying in what we call the study cubes because they're glass on one side and they have the latest technology. So students love going in and studying together and using the technology. And I think they love that they can see when their friends walk by and they can kind of wave them in to participate with them. Students love the interactive classroom technology that we have. So we have 2 auditoriums, one very large auditorium in the first level and a smaller auditorium in the second level, and then multiple classrooms that have this interactive technology where the faculty member could be giving a brief lecture at the front of the room, and then the students are at tables with wheels on the chairs and wheels on the tables in some rooms, so that the faculty member can very quickly convert from students looking forward to say, now I'd like you to work on case study 1 in your group of 6. And so the students simply turn their chairs and suddenly they're in a table with 6 of their classmates and they're working on a case study. And then when the faculty member is ready to bring their attention back to the front of the room, they simply turn their chair around and they're looking towards the front of the room. In one of our classrooms, each table has its own screen so that the students can, wirelessly hook up their laptops to the screen at their table, and the students can then work on their laptop with the screen in front of them to develop the case study or the project they're working on. And the faculty member from the front of the room can then look at all the students in the room to see who might have the best example of the project they're working on that day, and then can switch the media so that all students are looking at the screen of just one table. So it's really remarkable that we can do things in this building that we could never have done in our old building. It's just, I think it's the building that is better than any other school of nursing out there. We're very blessed.
You referenced in your last comment about the virtual hospital.
Yes.
And it raises a vision in one's head as to what that might mean. Could you talk a little bit about that notion of what is the virtual hospital and also the importance of simulation in the pedagogy here?
Yes, virtual simulation is very important. All simulation is very important because commonly things that are crises don't happen every day. So it gives us a chance to show our student what does it look like when a patient is coding, their heart is stopping, and you have to pick that up and resuscitate them and call for help. What does that process look like? So because we have simulation, we're able to simulate those scenarios that are uncommon, but where nursing action, quick action, decisive action is very critical. So that's the simulation with all of our rooms and mannequins. We have very high-tech mannequins that the faculty can control and change the heart rate, the breathing rate, and they can also respond for the mannequin so that the student can actually have a conversation. But then the virtual simulation, our virtual hospital includes patients both on a general medical or surgical ward and also patients in the critical care setting. So once again, it allows us to simulate some patient crises that would occur that the students have to be able to recognize, assess, take action, and then assess the result of their actions. They have to do all those things sometimes within seconds, and the virtual simulation allows us to do that.
And have you found in this year that students are getting more skilled at it with more exposure to it? Or how have you find that first year feedback on the new technology that you can implement in training?
I think students are really appreciating the simulation that we have in the lab that engages both the students with both mannequins, high-tech mannequins, and also we have medical actors that we hire that are used to portraying things like asthma or heart disease or a variety of other illnesses. So I think the students have expressed an appreciation of that, and the faculty have said that they literally are seeing students learn as they go through these scenarios. The virtual simulation is so new that we have piloted it on probably about 15 students. And we wondered if, some of these students are used to playing games that may move very quickly, video games. And we thought this does not move very quickly. It moves at the pace of a real hospital encounter. So you walk down the hall, you walk into a room, although you're doing it virtually. And we wondered if the students would really be challenged by this. And the students, to a person, have said that they have really enjoyed that simulation. They felt challenged by it, and they thought that it made them think in the way that other experiences have not made them think, in terms of having to make constant decisions across multiple patients and constantly prioritizing which patient needs my attention most immediately, and what other team members should I engage in this patient encounter, because there are some critical needs here. So the students have really expressed that they have not encountered that type of experience in other aspects of their education or even their clinical practice. So I think we're on the right track with that virtual simulation, but it is very new, so we're continuing to advance that.
So you've described a groundbreaking building with groundbreaking practice in that forcing students to think differently and think in new horizons. Now what I'd like to ask you to talk about is groundbreaking enrollment.
Yes.
You have moved into this new building and things seem to go in the right direction in terms of enrollment. Would you talk a little bit about these last few years of the growth of your program?
Yes, we've had a remarkable increase in the growth, a planned remarkable increase in the growth of our enrollment at the undergraduate level. We really had reached about the largest class size we could reach in the old building, and that was about 104 students. Well, now that we're in this beautiful building, we really have twice the size that we had before. So we had aimed for 150, so that's about 50 more students than we had in the past. And actually right now, we're scheduled to have 160 students coming in this fall. So we're very excited about that. This building has enabled us to increase our capacity, and we have more than enough room to teach that many students. We put students in sections, so it won't be 150 students in one class. We divide students up, so there's about maybe between 40 and 50 in a class with a faculty member, but we'll have more sections because of our growth. And we're very excited about that because, there is a national nursing shortage. We are helping to contribute to decreasing that shortage, and not only just decreasing the shortage with nurses that are clinically excellent, but Conway School of Nursing nurses who will be leaders in good moral leadership in nursing and healthcare. And I think that will be transformational.
So you've talked about a growth in critical mass, but not necessarily a lack of personal attention or experience. Is that a good way of describing where you're headed?
Yes, absolutely. Our students get a tremendous amount of attention and a tremendous amount of opportunity to practice in our new simulation facilities. If students feel they didn't quite grasp something the first time through, We have open lab experiences where students can come in and practice a little longer if that's what they need. And in fact, we even have a day, the students suggested this themselves. We have a day where the seniors orient the upcoming juniors, so they're actually sophomores in their second semester. So the seniors have a day where they introduce the sophomores to the simulation lab. They show them around, they let them put their hands on the mannequins and the other equipment, and they tell them what they're going to be learning in the next 2 years. So that's really, I think, a wonderful experience, and it's an example of how the students at Conway School of Nursing really support one another and really care for one another.
To have more students, you talked about the diversity of the students who come in. You've talked about regional diversity, you've talked about family diversity, you've talked about private schools and public schools that send us nurses. But probably a common theme for all is dealing with the challenges of the cost of coming to the Catholic University of America and the Conway School. But there are programs embedded here that help with that. And we were wondering if you might talk a little bit about that.
Yes, we have a wide variety of scholarships at Conway School of Nursing. Probably one of the most known nationally is the Conway Scholars Program, and that, again, was established by Mr. William Conway and his late beloved wife, Joanne. That enables students to receive significant funding towards it. At our school, the undergraduate program is where we've directed those funds because so many students need significant funding to come to the Conway School of Nursing. But in addition to the Conway Scholars Program, we have also been the beneficiaries of some wonderful donors to our Conway School of Nursing, and donors of all levels. I mean, donors, there are people that send us, recent graduates will send us, $50, and I'm just so impressed by that because they're only out for a year and they're already in the track of giving back. But there are other people that are at the very end of their nursing career and they are donating, many what they have from their retirement funds that they've decided they don't need, or other aspects of their wealth that they have that they've decided they want to give back to Conway School of Nursing. Maybe they're a graduate of the school, or they have a family member who's a graduate of the school, and many have no alumni from the school, but they've just come to know us, and they've decided that this is a wonderful place to put your money if you want to do good in the world. And we've also, ourselves, we have applied for many grants to bring as much money into the school as we can for scholarships because they are so incredibly needed for our students. So an example of that is we have a donor who loves both Conway School of Nursing and Catholic University of America and also loves Sibley Hospital. That is the family's hospital. And so that donor, the Dunn family, they have given us scholarships for 5 undergraduate students. And in return for those very generous scholarships from the Dunn family, these 5 students have promised to practice nursing at Sibley Hospital for at least 3 years. But we really feel like once students graduate and they go and practice at a hospital for 3 years, they tend to fall in love with that institution and they tend to be advancing in their careers and become the next nurse managers and directors of nursing. And so we actually think they will be investing in Sibley Hospital for many more years than 3. But that's an example of the Dunn Family Scholarship. We have a similar scholarship with the Cabrini Foundation. So 5 students will receive a significant scholarship from the Cabrini Foundation in return for agreeing to practice in one of the 6 Catholic health system hospitals on Long Island. So that's really a wonderful match for our students because we do have many students that come from the New York area. And so for them to go home and practice at a hospital near home and one that is such a great match for our Catholic mission is really a wonderful opportunity. So we're always looking for other grants. That's one of our roles on faculty is to constantly look for other resources that would help our students. And it can make the difference, as our students tell us, it can make the difference from coming to Conway School of Nursing and the Catholic University of America or not being able to come here. Those scholarships are absolutely essential.
So a family that's considering where to send their child, should they not feel challenged by the finances of the university's tuition? Do you feel like we are a good value for money and have the resources to support them?
We are a remarkable value. I mean, I often say that I think if parents understood exactly everything that we offer here at Catholic University and Conway School of Nursing in terms of supporting the development of their child as at such an important part of their growth and development, that we would have people running to Catholic University and breaking down our door, because I just think what we have here is so special and so impactful on these students' lives. For the rest of their lives, they will bear the mark of what it was to be educated as a Conway School of Nursing, a virtuous person who sees their nursing career as doing God's work. So I would say if there's a family that looks first at the tuition and thinks, oh, I don't think, we have 3 children, I don't think we can afford that. Well, we had a student recently who is one of triplets, and her brother is also now a nursing student. So that's a family that had 4 children in college at the same time, and they were able to send 2 of their students here because of the scholarships that we offer. We have many, many scholarships because of the generosity of our donors. So sometimes we are cobbling together, 10 different scholarships funds to make a significant impact on the scholarship of each student. But we have many resources to support students.
I guess the question that strikes me from the comments you have is you have a happy school,
Yes,
you have a thriving school,
yes.
but it's probably still a school that has a few needs, still has some needs. And what are the things that, as you lead the school, you still kind of niggle in the back of your mind that you want to try to keep tackling over the next few years?
Yes, absolutely. We have many needs. As much as we are blessed with so much, such as this beautiful building and wonderful students and spectacular faculty, we absolutely still have needs. So we've talked about the incredible need for scholarship support. Many of our students do come from families that they have multiple brothers and sisters, and the family is supporting, 2, 3, 4, 5 or more students to go to college. And that is daunting. And so the scholarship money is just so essential for those families. That's just one need. Another need is developing our faculty. So we are recruiting and are able to bring in new faculty every year. Last year, we brought in 5 new faculty members. This year, we're bringing in another 3, at least 3 new faculty members. So we're aiming for faculty who are both excellent clinicians, and they all are, and also excellent matches for our mission. So we're looking at faculty who see the development of students in faith and virtue as critical to our Catholic University and Conway School of Nursing mission. So in addition to preparing them for that, they need faculty development as new faculty members. So we have many opportunities, such as the American Association of Colleges of Nursing. They have a faculty leadership program. It's 1 year long. So faculty begin with a cohort of maybe 100 other faculty members from faculty all over the United States. And they meet together probably twice on site somewhere in the United States. And then the rest of the time, they are engaged virtually with various projects and interacting with one another, so that they develop a network of colleagues around the United States and can keep abreast of the most recent developments in nursing education. So that actually is a very costly enterprise, is to send this faculty member to a year-long leadership. I mean, they're still doing their faculty work, but it is a part-time activity that allows them to grow and develop as excellent nursing faculty. So we do need development money for new faculty, and then we have faculty that are seasoned faculty, but they are advancing a program of research. So they may need small amounts of money to do pilot studies to advance their work. We have a wonderful faculty member, Dr. Rebecca Robert, And her research has always been focused on mother-baby nutrition. So she has done remarkable studies showing the impact of excellent nutrition on the health of newborn infants and showing the impact of nutrition on the health of pregnant mothers. And so in order for her to do that work, almost every study needs a small pilot study to demonstrate to federal funders, for example, that the work that you're proposing, the research you're proposing, is going to be successful and impactful. So where we can have small amounts of money to support faculty in pilot studies, that's extremely valuable.
You have, over the last 3 years, met numerous alumni and alumni of the Conway School of Nursing. What do you find is a hallmark of our alumni? What are things you'd want to say to our alumni about being more involved with the school?
I think our alumni are remarkable. We have had probably more military leaders from the Conway School of Nursing in the Army Nurse Corps, the Navy Nurse Corps, Air Force Nurse Corps than any other school. And so I think that speaks to our development of leaders. And we've also had graduates of the Conway School of Nursing have been deans at other universities and schools of nursing. They have been chief nursing officers. So we clearly are preparing nurses who are confident and know that they're called to lead. I would say for all of our alumni, whether they have been a leader in a healthcare institution or a leader at the bedside, a leader in their primary care clinic, we need their help. We would love to partner with them to help them to impact on the next generation of Conway School of Nursing graduates. And I'm always willing to meet with alumni, to let them tour our beautiful new building, and perhaps most importantly, meet our students. I think when our alumni meet our students, I hear over and over again, your students are amazing. Your students are so impressive. I've never seen anything like this. So when the alumni come back, they love the students that we have and the students that we're graduating.
So to wrap up our conversation, I was wondering if you could take the concept of the Conway School of Nursing and just give us 3 words that come in your mind when you think of it.
So I think of the Conway School of Nursing, I think of our mission and what makes our students different. And I think our philosophy of focusing on human dignity, human flourishing, and human freedom are the hallmarks of the Conway School of Nursing graduate. Our students are developed as whole persons by the faculty and the staff here and one another. And our students see the patients entrusted to their care, the families and communities entrusted to their care, as whole persons that they are called to care for in mind, body, and spirit, and as part of doing God's work here in their nursing practice. So I think that is one of the most important things that we do at Conway School of Nursing. And it says who we are.
Dean Nolan, you went past the 3 words, but that's because you have so much more to say, which is wonderful. I want to take an opportunity to say thank you for giving us this much of your time. And we hope that others have found that this conversation was informative and gets you excited to be more involved, whether as a prospective family or as an alumna or as someone who is interested in coming back and getting more training in our graduate levels to be part of this exciting time here at the Conway School of Nursing. Thank you, Dean Nolan.
Thank you very much, Will.